Hello and welcome to Ukraine Today. I'm Volodymyr Solohub. Last week, Ukrainian government almost blew up another reform designed to fight with corruption, the launch of e-declarations. With jeopardizing this reform, the government has put at risk a long-expected visa-free regime with the EU. Join me now to discuss the recent developments in EU-Ukraine relations is the head of the European Union Delegation to Ukraine, Mr. Tombinskii. Mr. Tombiński, welcome to Ukraine Today.
Welcome.
So, Mr. Ambassador, last week Ukraine found itself in yet another crisis in connection with the faulty launch of e-declaration system, and the EU was credited, among others, participants with applying pressure on the Ukrainian government to launch the system in accordance with all the requirements and international standards. In your opinion, why is this happening? Why the Ukrainian government is going forward with the reforms only under pressure from the international community?
The system of e-declarations is needed for Ukraine. This is not needed for the European Union because of the credibility of and trust to the Ukrainian officials that the corruption saga of Ukraine ends at a certain moment. And this issue has been discussed for weeks, months, even years. We are in the visa liberalization action plan for already 5 years, so nothing comes unexpected. And the question that you've asked could be summarized in the sense that it is a fight between those who wish to deliver the lowest minimum on certain commitments, and those who expect, and I guess this is the most part of Ukrainian population, those who expect that the system will be now much better, fairer, and much more trustful. The European Union is engaged in this system because these asset declarations are part of a visa liberalization action plan, and this is this remaining last element in order to take decisions on visa-free regime for Ukraine. It should be really very much opaque if a group of people who do wish to escape from control take the whole population as hostages. So we raised this issue once again with this demand that the system should be up and running and up to the standards. I understand one element that is also to be included in the system. The system should be done in a way that it does not create additional risks for people who execute official functions are subject to this check. So certain protection of personal data should also be included in it. Therefore, the certification is needed. But this is the responsibility of Ukrainian leadership.
But don't you find it disturbing that the pressure from the Ukrainian people, from the civil society, it started from day one of the launch of this system without proper certification, but only after the intervention of Ukraine's foreign partners as the EU and the IMF, we heard from President Poroshenko. So isn't that a very disturbing signal that Ukrainian government is not listening to its own people?
It would be much better if this all has been done properly from the very beginning, and if the Ukrainian leaders who are in charge of the system would have realized what should be done within the system without our pressure. Because there is a certain value in credibility. If things are done under the pressure, this lack of trust remains, because then people will still be very cautious in checking the progress of Ukraine because of this thinking that perhaps there are some hidden traps in the system, that someone wishes to escape from it and therefore everything is done only under the pressure. This is about commitment, and the credibility is a huge value in political relations. And I guess Ukraine should invest much more, and Ukrainian leadership should invest much more in gaining credibility and not flying on the lowest possible level of acceptance.
Mr. Ambassador, last week when President Poroshenko said that the system, or rather ordered that the certificate of the data protection certificate should be issued by August 31st and that the system will be launched from September 1st, he also said that the question of visa-free regime with the EU is a matter of weeks. Do you share the optimism of Ukraine's president?
The EU prepared the agenda for dealing with this issue, and all this agenda has been shared also with Ukrainian leadership during the visit of Prime Minister Groysman to Brussels in July. Commissioner Hahn and President of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, they clearly designed the agenda, the EU agenda, with regard to decision-taking on visa-free regime for Ukraine. So on our side, everything has been disclosed. That in September we will have first discussions in respective committees of the European Parliament, with a plan to take decision by the plenary of the European Parliament in October. Then the issue will return to the European Council and the decision will be taken. But we have to have all elements in our hands. And this is an element, the e-declaration and the delay in starting the real check of declarations submitted by officials. It's a remaining element in the discussion, and this is very closely followed by our partners and colleagues in European institutions, so they will also think twice, perhaps, before getting the decision, because they are in charge by member states to get it properly, to ensure also the credibility of European actions. No one wishes to return on this issue exposed because of suddenly discovering that one or other element of the system is not properly working.
A lot of anti-corruption agencies or agencies who were designed to fight with corruption in Ukraine were established following the signing and ratification of the EU Association Agreement. Among them is the National Anti-Corruption Bureau, which also was last week in the center of a big scandal because the National Anti-Corruption Bureau was in a clash with General Prosecutor's Office. What are you taking out of these battles? Is this the fight of the old and the new system?
This could be also described as the resistance of the so-called deep state, of those who were much more comfortable in working without specific control. We can return to the issue why the establishment of all new institutions to fight against corruption was needed, because of the general conviction, not only on the European side, but also within the Ukrainian leadership, was that the existing institutions were unable to cope with the system of corruption, with the system of using different public positions in order to ensure private interest and not public interest. Therefore, there was an understanding between the Ukrainian leadership and with international partners of Ukraine that such institutions are needed. And once we've committed to do it, then we have to do it also properly. The EU is ready to assist all these institutions, National Anti-Corruption Bureau, the Anti-Corruption Prosecution, the Agency for Prevention of Corruption, even the General Prosecution, in order to clean the system. This is mostly needed by Ukraine, but it is also connected to the amount of money that International Monetary Fund, European Union, American partners, Japanese partners, member states are now using in order to assist Ukraine. We are responsible to our citizens, because this is not virtual money. This is money collected from taxpayers from our countries. And we need to show to taxpayers that this money is properly managed, that it is not money that can be transferred from European pockets or American pockets to pockets of some corrupt people in Ukraine. This is a contract. Therefore, we are here in order to assist the proper work of all these institutions. And these new institutions, for the time being, are very much trusted by us, and we are investing a lot in order to help them to be as effective as possible.
What are the next steps you expect the Ukrainian government to take on its path in fighting corruption? The judicial reform has started, the set of anti-corruption bodies is in place. What is next?
The set of all different, or combination of all different actions that are needed in Ukraine to change the paradigm of working. The corruption has different facets. The most problematic is the mental corruption, that people do treat themselves and others as objects, that you may buy minds of people, votes of people, assets of people. Everything is subject to a kind of negotiation, and it depends on how much money you are using to buy people, to buy votes, to buy minds. This is what should be done. And we know from different countries where corruption was also a kind of a public disease, that it will not happen within one day. This is a long-term investment. But what is needed, I will repeat also after Ambassador Payet, who made this very clear in his interview recently, to withdraw the sense of unpunishment, that people who are not obeying to the rules are punished. So therefore, judiciary is so much needed, the work of public administration. We are investing also in helping Ukraine to operate the reform of public administration. There is a need also to create trusted law enforcement bodies. So all the rules are needed. We see with ProZorro how much has been done thanks to Ukrainian own action. ProZorro is a fantastic investment of Ukrainian brains and IT specialists. So why not to expand this system of transparency also to all other parts of Ukrainian economy and public administration?
Looks like some tough choices the Ukrainian government needs to make here, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you very much for finding the time to talk to us. We were discussing the near-failed launch of e-declarations in Ukraine with head of the EU delegation to Ukraine, Mr. Tombinskii. I'm Volodymyr Solohub. Thank you for watching Ukraine Today.